It is cherry season, y'all. Sour cherries are ready, getting ready at this time of year. Here we are at the end of June. And if y'all want to come in here and look a little closer, you can see that our sour cherries are starting to ripen. So, how to know when to pick a sour cherry? When it looks like this, obviously it's not ready, right? It's still green. It's got a ways to go before it ripens. But when you find one that looks like this right here, you can see it's deep red all the way around, and also when you push on it, it's got a little give to it. It's a little bit soft. So that is your hint that a cherry is ready to pick. And there are a few different ways that you can pick them. So we're going to talk about how to harvest them, and then we're going to talk about some ways to preserve them. So this is the harvesting piece. And you can do it a couple different ways. If you want the cherries to last a while longer, pick them with the stems on. Once you pull the stems off, you open like a wound in the cherry, like that. Right. Oh, and that's amazing. Sometimes when you pick them, the pit comes right out, and there you have a lovely pitted cherry ready for making into jam or freezing or whatever you want. Um, the pit doesn't always come out though, so be ready to pit your cherries too if you're going to be preserving them in some kind of way that they have to be pitted. But you can see when I pulled that stem out, it left a wound in the cherry, and that opening is an opening for bacteria and things like that. And so it just won't keep as long in your fridge as it would if it has stems on. So you want to check out your cherries, and if you can pick them with the stems on like this, they will just keep a little bit longer. If you are going to be freezing them or processing them right away, go ahead and pick them without the stems. You can just, if you pull on a ripe cherry, it should come off pretty easily. If you really have to tug, chances are it's not quite ready, so give it a little time. Also, if you harvest them and they still have a little yellow on them, that's okay. Those will ripen up a little bit as they sit. But ideally, you're going for this like deep red all the way around. Cherries are an amazing fruit, and sour cherries are really different than sweet cherries. So when you taste a sour cherry, you're going to go like pucker up. They're really sour. And so usually when people make things with sour cherries, they're making either like a savory thing or adding some sugar. So these are sour cherries, and sweet cherries are not going to be ready yet for a while yet. But this is one of our 4 cherry trees at Bedrock, and we have been picking them with our elementary school kids and our high school kids all week long. I don't even know how many pounds of cherries we've picked, y'all, but it has been a lot. So come out to the market coming up on that first Sunday in July, and we will have sour cherries for sale at our farm stand. We also are going to, at our markets, be doing in-person workshops, a cooking workshop with a seasonal ingredient, and also an herbal workshop using a seasonal medicinal herb. So come on out to those workshops at our markets. They're really fun. They're happening at 2 o'clock. And yeah, once you get enough cherries to make whatever it is you're making, you can take a little break from the heat, head on into the kitchen and process them. So that's where we're going to go now. We'll see you there in a bit. All right, y'all, before we go in, I have one more thing to show you. If you are making jam, usually you would go to the store and buy some pectin to thicken up your jam, to give it that kind of jam-like consistency. Well, Mother Nature makes pectin too, and one of the best sources of pectin in nature is currants. So currants are a kind of a fruit that grows in the Midwest. It's native to here. So these are perennial plants, meaning just like a cherry tree, they'll look like they die back in the winter, but they'll come back every season and make more and more fruit. Currants are really sour. They have a sour taste. They're almost like sort of like pink lemonade plus extra sour pink lemonade. But currants have natural pectin in them, and so if you throw some currants into your jam when you're making it, you can skip that store-bought pectin altogether, and you can throw in some currants. Another fruit that has naturally occurring pectin is apples. But currants go really nicely with something like a cherry jam because they add a little bit of tartness to kind of balance out the sweet. And when you harvest a currant, you can just pull the whole stem of currants all at once, and the plant will just make new stems of currants every year. So on that note, now that we have some cherries and some currants for our pectin, now we're going to head on into the kitchen. See you in a sec. All right, so here we are in the kitchen ready to learn how to preserve our cherries. So if you are going to be making jam, or if you're going to be freezing your cherries, or if you're going to be drying your cherries, you want to get the pits out. You can do this a few different ways. You don't have to have any fancy equipment. You can literally just squeeze on the cherry until the pit pops out. Just like that. Easy enough, right? But if you have a whole lot of cherries to process, you might want to get a cherry pitter. So this is a really cool tool. You can get these at Farm and Fleet, I think Home Depot. And really what it does, it has this little crank that pushes on the cherry and pops that pit right out so that it goes into this little container below. So you can just line up your cherries in a row in this little handheld machine that uses no electricity, and you can just put your cherries to your heart's content, just like this. This is something that we discovered last season, and let me tell you, it has been a lifesaver because we have so many cherries to process. So once you get your cherries pitted, you'll have these beautiful pitted cherries to do whatever you like with. And one of the things that you can do, this is maybe the easiest way to preserve cherries, is simply to freeze them. So you can just put them on a cookie sheet. We usually put some parchment paper down first so that they don't stick. And you can literally just fill up this cookie sheet with cherries, pitted cherries, and you can stick it in your freezer. And once those cherries are frozen, take them off the cookie sheet, put them in some freezer Ziploc bags, label them to make sure you know what they are and the date that you froze them, because I'm telling you, if you freeze a lot of stuff, you might think you're going to remember, but if you're anything like me, you might not remember. Also, stuff in the freezer can keep for about 18 months is about the max. So putting the date on there is important so you know when to pitch it if you don't use it by then. But anyone who has cherries left in your freezer after 18 months, ooh, you might want to find a friend, because frozen cherries are a precious treat, and you can share those with your friends and your community. So freezing cherries is one very, very easy way to preserve them. Another really easy way is to dry them. So you can get yourself a dehydrator. You can often find these in thrift stores or garage sales for almost nothing, because a lot of times people get dehydrators thinking they're going to use them all the time and maybe don't use them so much. So I often find them, this one I found for $5 at St. Fitty's. So you can find them for really inexpensive. And all you do is take your pitted cherries. You can cut them in half if you want them to dehydrate a little quicker. But you're just going to put them in a single layer on these trays in the dehydrator. You're going to fill up the entire dehydrator with cherries. Pop the top on. And it even has a little cheat sheet on the top that tells you the temperature to set it for fruits and veggies. So you would set it to 135 degrees. And then you can look up how long to dehydrate each thing that you're dehydrating. So if you look up cherries, it's probably going to say about 8 hours. So for a dehydrator, you can hit the start button, set the time, set how long you want it to go for, and then come and check on it. If you come and check on it and your cherries are still like really pliable, they might need a little longer. What you're going for is the cherries that really have like no water left in them. And then after the dehydrated, you want to put them in some kind of airtight container so that they don't rehydrate with the humidity. So a glass jar is a great way to do that, to put them in an airtight container. So you can also, though, dehydrate things on a cookie sheet, just like this. We would put them on a cookie sheet like this and just put them in the oven on the lowest heat possible with the door propped open and leave them in there. It takes much longer in an oven, so make sure you're going to do it sometime when you're around and where you don't have little people running around or pets that are going to, get burned. But you can do it in an oven and just leave it for a longer period of time. They will dry out just the same as in a dehydrator. Sun drying is another thing you can do. A little trickier with cherries because they're so sweet and delicious. They can attract bugs and flies and stuff while they're sitting out in the sun. So I usually don't dehydrate my cherries outside. Plus, they are so juicy. They take a long time, and it's so humid out in the summer. So I usually stick with a dehydrator or the oven method. Another way you can do it, I'm just showing you all the ways, y'all, because there are so many things you could do. Another way you could do it is make a cherry vinegar. And this is kind of a treat. If you get some cherries, you don't even need to take the pits out if you're going to make a vinegar. You would just, I'm going to use this mortar and pestle actually. You're just going to smush up the cherries some, and the pits in them give kind of like a cherry wood, a little bit type flavor to your cherry vinegar. And this is making sort of like a savory thing with your cherries. And then you could use that cherry vinegar to make salad dressings, really for anything that you might flavor something with vinegar. So you would just smoosh up your cherries like that, pop them in a jar, and you ideally would fill up the jar about halfway, and then fill it the rest of the way with balsamic vinegar is my favorite to use for this. The flavors just go really nicely together. So you would literally just pour some balsamic in there to cover the cherries. You want to cover the cherries by at least an inch so that they all are submerged in there. And then you would let that sit with the top on. I usually put it in a dark cupboard, and I would let it sit for a few weeks. And as the time goes on, the flavors are going to meld and mellow. And when you're ready to use it, you can strain out the cherries, and you're left with this beautiful infused vinegar that's got a little cherry flavor to it. The vinegar is acidic, so that acid helps preserve the cherries right there. So this can be shelf stable for a long time. You can also keep it in your fridge. Or you can make some jam. So the way to make a good cherry jam is so easy. It's just 1 part cherries to 1 part sugar. So easy. And then you want to put, if you're making a cup of cherries and a cup of sugar, which is about what this is, you also would want to put a tablespoon of pectin. Or if you're using a substitute for pectin, you could put that. So I'm going to put these currants in here that we just picked because, like I mentioned, these have natural occurring pectin in them, so they'll thicken up your jam for you. And you can take it over to the stovetop, and you're going to cook it. Right. So we're just going to let this cook, let these cherries kind of get nice and hot. Let that sugar melt, and a lot of water is going to come out of those cherries. So when you make a jam, you want to bring it to a full boil once that sugar has melted, and then you want to turn it down to a simmer and cook it for a while until it gets a little bit thickened up. So next to these cherries, you see this big old pot over here? This is called a hot water canner. Once you make your jam, if you want to preserve it by canning it, you can do what's called hot water canning and pop this jam in a mason jar and put it under the boiling water in the hot water canner for at least 10 minutes. And then when you take it out, it will seal, and your canned jam can last just on a shelf unopened for up to 18 months. If you open it, put it in the fridge to keep it good once it's opened. But if you don't open it and it's canned, it can last just shelf stable for a long, long time. So we're going to cook this jam for a little while until it looks ready for the canning stage. And then we will be right back and show you all the canning process. All right, so we've cooked our jam. You can kind of cook it as long as you want, depending on how thick you want your jam. And know, too, when it's hot, it's going to be more liquidy than when it kind of solidifies after it sits. So what you need to can, you're going to need some ball jars. If they're brand new, Sometimes I don't sterilize them, but usually I'll put the ball jars in the hot water canner and I will boil the jar for 10 full minutes. That means putting it in the canner, waiting for the water to come up to a full boil again, then starting my timer for 10 minutes, and then taking it out, because that will sterilize your jars. And working with sterile stuff is really, really important when you're canning. You'll also need one of these little guys to lift your jars, to put them in the canner and to take them out of the canner, because you're working with boiling water. So this is really a crucial piece of canning equipment too. Funnel, also really important. I don't know how to can without a funnel. I would be totally lost. And so what you do when you're ready to can is you fill your jar right up to where those threads start, where you can screw your lid on. You do not want to fill it any more than that high, because you want to leave a little breathing room for that liquid to expand while it's in the hot water canner. So you can see I left some airspace, and what I'm going to do is just put the lid on. Also, do not reuse these if you're canning. Get new ones each time. This is the part that will seal the can shut, so you don't want to reuse those from time to time. And then I'm just going to finger tighten the threads right on here. And then my hot water canner. These are another thing that you can find at thrift stores or garage sales all the time, because again, a lot of people think they're going to can and then maybe don't do it enough to make it seem worth having this hot water canner. But what this has on it is a little rack on the bottom, so the jars are not sitting directly on the bottom of the pot. If they were sitting right on the bottom of the pot, not only would they wiggle around and they could break, but they also might blow up, because the bottom of the pot is super hot, and just raising them up above that a little bit is a little bit of distance from the heat of the stove, and so they won't explode on you. So you just put your can into your hot water canner. You want to make sure that you have enough water in there that there's at least an inch or two of water above the top of the jar. If there's not, add some more water. And then you want to just wait until this water in here comes up to a full rolling boil again. Then start your timer for 10 minutes. You want to leave it in there for 10 minutes and put the lid on too, so the water doesn't boil away. Once those 10 minutes is up, reach in, pull it out, and make sure to put it on a towel, not directly on your cold countertop, because that hot, touching that coal right away is also a thing that can make your jar break. So put it on a towel, and then you're just going to wait. Let it sit there for 6 hours. Overnight is fine. And there's a little piece on the top of the jar. It's like a little button. That thing that goes pop, pop, pop. So once it's canned, what will happen is this will get suctioned shut. So you'll be sitting there doing other stuff in your kitchen, and all of a sudden you'll hear, and this will suction itself shut, and it won't come back up. If this does not suction shut, your jam is not fully canned, and you need to take it out and eat it right away, or recan it, because what you want is for that button to remain down. See, like that? Like it's not coming back up. That is a sign that your jar is fully canned. And don't you push the button down. It can be tempting, but let the canning process do it for you, or else you might accidentally push that button down and it stays down, but it's still not canned. So let the can do the canning for you. And once it's fully canned and that button has popped down, put a label on it so you know when you canned it, and make sure that you use it before 18 months from that date. If you open it and use some, just pop it in your fridge from there on out to keep it fresh, and you will have beautiful canned cherry jam that you can use all winter long when your trees have long since gone to bed. So those are just a few ways to preserve sour cherries. There are lots of other ways, but we will leave it at that for today. And if you have other ways you like to preserve them, pop them in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Otherwise, we will see you all next time. Thanks for tuning in.